Hello everyone, welcome to a WARDOGS flying tutorial. As we've all seen now, there are some questionable pilots. As a result, I felt like it was fitting to provide a format for some of the fundamentals to help those who are new to helicopters in-game. I will provide a solid foundation to help you master the basics before you move on to the more advanced maneuvers. We will focus on the takeoff, cruise, and landing portion of flight, and I'll provide considerations for each. Now take your socks off and grab that stick. Let's talk about takeoff. Depending on your aircraft of choice, you will have specific performance and maneuverability limitations. As this is geared to all pilots, I will use the first helicopter we get access to. Controls. Raising our collective will increase our lift vertically, while lowering the collective results in a decrease of vertical lift. Nose attitude. This is the position of the nose relative to the horizon. Lowering your nose attitude relative to the horizon will result in an increase in forward speed. Raising your nose attitude above the horizon will result in a decrease in speed. The keen among you may say, well actually it decreases or increases our altitude, but this isn't necessarily true. Why is that? Feel free to tell me in the comments. Banked attitude. Again, just like our pitch attitude, bank is also relative to the horizon. We have left bank and we have right banked attitude. The degree is measured in angle of bank. More on this later. Yaw. This is the rotation that we get as a result of our tail rotor. Think of it as driving a car on the ground. This will be heavily abused in later, more advanced maneuvers. Now, let's talk about taking off. The goal here is to start very simple and work up in complexity. Let's raise our collective and get some altitude. Once safe, stop using the collective for this first example. We will lower our nose attitude slightly below the horizon and watch our speed build. Ideally, we don't lose too much altitude here. Now that we're in a stable profile, lower the nose a little more and we will see a loss of altitude. As we see this, increase our collective and hold it. Watch how our altitude first and then speed is impacted. Great. Now we're in cruise flight. Let's slow down now and undo the steps we just did. I will cease using collective, increase my nose attitude, and once we are parallel to the horizon, I'll watch my speed start to decrease. Increasing my nose attitude slightly, we see a further loss of speed. Continuing further, and now using down collective, we will see a loss of altitude and speed. As we slow, I will release collective and ensure my nose attitude is level with the horizon. This is a great exercise to conduct at various altitudes. However, the lower you are to the ground, the greater your perception of movement. Now that we have an understanding of speed and altitude management, let's introduce banked attitudes. Utilizing bank, also known as roll, we can turn. Note, it is possible to bank but not turn. Turning results in a change of compass heading. Let's go and conduct some banks at cruise speed and see how the aircraft handles. Start light first, then progress in its angle. It is ideal to bank from side to side for now. Once you feel comfortable, combine nose up and nose down attitudes with banked attitudes. Then introduce collective as you see fit. Once you master that, incorporate using yaw in the direction that you are banked. The more we pull up our nose with a given bank angle, the more energy we will lose as the aircraft pulls itself into the turn. Great. Now that we have sufficient foundation and hopefully some meaningful practice, you may have noticed that the faster that the aircraft is going, the more your aircraft resists inputs to change in its direction of flight. This is because of inertia. This will have an impact on our aircraft's maneuverability. It is said that if you double your speed, your turn radius is quadrupled in size. The slower we travel, the tighter the turn. Now that we understand radius of turn, let's talk about some flight profiles. High altitude. This profile is ideal for newer pilots, as there is a significant degree of safety associated with altitude, specifically for your passengers. This will allow for parachute deployments and less maneuverable pilots to plan their approach and dissipate their energy. However, one notable threat is anti-aircraft weapons, and depending on how high you are a visible presence. Low altitude. This is generally the most clippable and notoriously dangerous due to obstacles and decreased margins for error. Flying at low altitudes, when incapable of maneuvering, will only serve to harm your reputation and wallet. But, once competent, the benefits are enormous, especially to avoid the anti-aircraft weapons and to maintain a low observability. It is ideal to combine both regimes as you build experience, as they each have pros and cons. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. This will require some patience. Landing. A pilot should safely and profitably deliver passengers to the area of operations. In order to do this, we will look at landing in several stages. First, we should plan our approach, fully utilizing our three-dimensional authority. Find a path to your LZ that is actionable, ideally not in direct fire of the enemy, and one that is clear of obstacles enough so that you do not risk the machine. However, you should exercise caution. Not all surfaces are flat, and if you touch a slope, you will slide or collide if that aircraft's attitude is not parallel to that surface. But having an attitude that is not level with the horizon will result in movement. Once we have our path in mind, and we are aware of the surface, remember, we will have energy that needs to be dissipated leading up to and at that point. This leads us to our approach stage. Starting simple, just like we did at the beginning. This can be slow and a progressive exchange of collective and pitch over a great distance to come to a stop. The greater the input, the greater the reaction of the aircraft. If we pull our nose up too much, we will begin to climb. If we fail to pull enough, we will overshoot our target. Utilizing collective down with a nose up attitude can help us reduce our energy and prevent altitude gain. As we slow down, we will eventually transition to level flight in close proximity to the ground. Your landing will be complete. This gets us into the styles of landing. I will simply familiarize you with the different methods, and the rest is up to you for now. If you found this video helpful, please let me know how it helped you. I'd love to get any and all feedback possible to help impart my knowledge onto you. Blue skies and safe flying. I'll see you out there.
Are you the guy that I saw on the internet?
As a pilot, no two landings are the same. What you're seeing here is a combination and application of various different factors such as low-level flight, flares, a progressive bleed off of energy, obstacle avoidance, and eventually a hover to allow for passengers to disembark the aircraft. They can also be very intense. This is what is commonly referred to as a J-hook. Additionally, you can use portions of other maneuvers such as the J-hook and then combine it with other techniques such as a sliding landing to allow for disembark of passengers. Note that I do go into the vertical and expose myself to gunfire. This is because a helicopter is a viable target for those on the ground. I am not facing the active threat. Because we are three-dimensional, we can increase and decrease altitude as we see fit in an effort to diminish our energy. This is going for a precision landing specifically inside of the hot zone as it moves around, so my passengers can assert dominance in the battlefield.